Story 1. The call. My name is Madison, and I've been working as a 911 dispatcher for 7 years. I thought I'd heard everything until that October night when the call came in at 2:47 a.m. The phone rang with that familiar emergency tone, and I answered with my standard greeting. 911, what's your emergency? What I heard next still gives me chills. It was a man's voice, barely above a whisper, trembling with what sounded like absolute terror. Please help me. Someone's in my house. I can hear them downstairs. I'm hiding in the bedroom closet at 1847 Maple Street. They're walking around down there. I think they have keys. The line was crackling with static, which was unusual for our system, but I could make out his words clearly enough. His breathing was rapid, panicked. Sir, I'm dispatching officers to your location right now. Can you tell me your name? It's Robert. Robert Chen. Please hurry. I think they're coming upstairs now. Oh God, the footsteps are getting closer. I could hear what sounded like creaking floorboards through the phone. My heart was racing as I kept him on the line while our units rushed to the scene. Robert, stay quiet and stay hidden. Officers are 2 minutes away. Do not hang up. But then something happened that I'll never forget. The static suddenly cleared completely, and Robert's voice became crystal clear. Too clear. It was like he was speaking directly into my ear. Madison, he said, and I froze. I hadn't told him my name. Madison, you need to know something. The person downstairs, they're not alive. The line went dead. Officer Martinez and Officer Thompson arrived within minutes. They called me from the scene, and what they told me made my blood run cold. Madison, this house is completely empty. Has been for years. The front door was locked, no signs of forced entry. We checked every room, every closet, nobody's here. But that wasn't the worst part. We ran the address through the system, Martinez continued. The last registered resident was a Robert Chen. He died in this house 5 years ago. Heart attack. Been vacant ever since. I sat there in stunned silence, staring at my call log. The call had lasted 7 minutes and 32 seconds. The number showed as coming from a landline registered to 1847 Maple Street. The next day, I did some digging. Robert Chen, age 54, had indeed died in that house exactly 5 years ago to the day. But here's what really haunts me. According to the police report from his death, he'd called 911 that night too. He'd reported hearing someone in his house before suffering the heart attack that killed him. The call I received matched his final 911 call word for word. To this day, every October on the anniversary of his death, our system logs a call from 1847 Maple Street. It only rings once, and when we answer, all we hear is static, and sometimes just barely audible, a whispered, "Please help me." I've requested to never work that shift again. Story 2. The visitor who wasn't there. I've been a 911 dispatcher for 12 years. Working the night shift, you get used to strange calls, but some stick with you forever. This one happened on a rainy Thursday in March, and it changed how I look at every emergency call. The call came in at 11:23 p.m. The woman on the other end sounded middle-aged, her voice shaking with a mixture of fear and confusion. 911? My name is Natalie Brennan. Someone's at my door. They won't stop knocking. I could actually hear it through the phone, a slow, deliberate knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Each one perfectly spaced like a metronome. Ma'am, I'm sending officers to your location. Can you give me your address? It's 2156 Oakwood Drive. They've been knocking for 20 minutes straight. The same rhythm over and over. Yeah, I'm too scared to look through the peephole. As she spoke, I could hear that methodical knocking continuing in the background. It was unsettling, too regular, too persistent. "Natalie, stay away from the door. Don't open it for anyone except the police. They'll identify themselves clearly when they arrive." "Are all your doors and windows locked?" "Yes, everything's locked. But Leon..." She paused, and I realized she'd used my name. Standard protocol meant I would have introduced myself, but I was certain I hadn't. "How do you know my name, ma'am?" I don't know. It just came to me. This whole thing feels wrong." The knocking stopped. She was right. The background noise had gone completely silent. "That's good, Natalie. The person probably saw our patrol car approaching. Officers should be at your door any moment." "No, Leon, that's not why it stopped." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "It stopped because I opened the door." "What?" "Natalie, I told you not to." "I didn't open it, Leon, but it's open. I'm staring at my front door right now, and it's wide open. There's nobody there, nobody in the hallway, nobody on the street, but the door is open and I never opened it." My supervisor, Janet, was listening in by now. She was shaking her head, mouthing domestic disturbance to me, probably thinking Natalie was having some kind of breakdown. "Natalie, please step away from the door and wait for the officers." "Leon, someone's walking up my stairs." I could hear it through the phone. Slow, heavy footsteps on what sounded like wooden stairs. "But that's impossible," Natalie continued, her voice now barely audible. "I live in a ranch house. There are no stairs in my house." The line crackled with static, and then I heard something that made my blood freeze. Another voice coming from what sounded like upstairs in Natalie's house, a voice calling down to her. "Natalie, come upstairs, Natalie. I've been waiting for you." It was her own voice. Natalie was calling to herself from upstairs. The real Natalie started sobbing. "That's me, Leon. That's my voice, but I'm down here. I'm down here talking to you." Officer Rodriguez called me from the scene 15 minutes later. "Leon, we've got a problem. This address doesn't exist. 2156 Oakwood Drive. There's no such address. Oakwood Drive only goes up to 2100, then it dead ends at the old cemetery." "That's impossible. I have the call logged." "There's more. We checked with the city records. There used to be a 2156 Oakwood Drive. House burned down 7 years ago. A woman named Natalie Brennan died in the fire. She was found at the bottom of the stairs, but here's the thing. Her house was a single-story ranch. There were no stairs." I pulled up the call records later. The number traced back to a disconnected landline that had belonged to Natalie Brennan. The call lasted 18 minutes. But Natalie Brennan had been dead for 7 years. Every few months, we get a call from that same number, always the same woman, always the same complaint about someone knocking at her door. And every time, when officers arrive at the scene, they find nothing but an empty lot where a house used to stand. I've started recognizing her voice immediately. Sometimes when I know it's her, I ask, "Natalie, do you know you're dead?" The line always goes quiet for a moment, and then she says, "Leon, someone's at my door again. They won't stop knocking." Story 3. The Crying in the Woods. My name is Simon, and what I'm about to tell you happened 6 months ago during my overnight shift as a 911 dispatcher. I've replayed this call in my head countless times, and I still can't make sense of it. It was 3:15 a.m. when the call came through. The voice belonged to a woman who sounded to be in her 30s, clearly distressed but trying to stay calm. 911, I need help. This is Juliana Martinez at 1423 Pine Ridge Road. I keep hearing a child crying outside my house. Pine Ridge Road. I knew that area. It was way out in the rural part of our county, where houses were spread far apart, surrounded by dense forest. "Ma'am, how long have you been hearing this crying?" "About an hour now. It started soft, like it was far away, but it's getting closer. It sounds like a little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old. She's just crying and crying. It's heartbreaking." I could actually hear it faintly through the phone, a child's sobs, muffled but distinct. It did sound like a little girl, and it was, indeed, heartbreaking. "Have you looked outside to see if you can spot the child?" "That's the thing," Juliana said, her voice becoming more anxious. "I live alone out here. My nearest neighbor is 3 miles away. There are no children on this road, Simon, no families with kids anywhere nearby." Again, she'd used my name without me giving it. That was becoming a disturbing pattern in my strangest calls. "Juliana, I'm sending a unit out to check the area. It's possible a child wandered away from a camping site or got lost hiking. Stay inside for now." "You don't understand," she whispered urgently. "The crying, it's not moving like a person would move. It's circling my house, like it's walking around and around the perimeter. I can track it by sound. It goes past my kitchen window, then the living room, then the bedroom, then back to the kitchen. Perfect circles." I listened more carefully to the background noise. She was right. The crying was definitely moving, and it did seem to be following a circular pattern around her house. "How long has it been doing this?" "The whole time, never stopping, never getting tired, just endless crying and walking in circles. Wait." Her voice changed, became filled with dread. "Simon, it stopped." The background crying had indeed stopped. The silence was somehow worse than the sound had been. "Where did it stop, Juliana?" "Right at my front door." "Oh God, now it's knocking. Soft little knocks, like a child would make." I could hear gentle tapping through the phone, light and hesitant. "Do not open that door, Juliana. Officers are 15 minutes out." "It's not knocking anymore. Now it's trying the door handle. I can see it turning." "Is your door locked?" "Yes, but Simon, the handle is turning anyway. It's turning slowly, like little hands are trying to figure out how it works." My supervisor was standing behind me now, listening in. We both heard what came next, the unmistakable sound of a door creaking open. "Juliana, did your door just open?" Her response was barely a whisper. "It's not a child, Simon." "What do you mean?" "The thing that just walked into my house. It's not a child. It looks like a little girl from far away, but up close. God help me, up close it's not human. Its eyes are too big and its limbs are too long, and when it cries, its mouth opens too wide." The line filled with static, and then I heard Juliana scream, a sound I'll never forget. Then silence. Officer Hayes called me from Pine Ridge Road 30 minutes later. "Simon, we found the house. Door was wide open, but nobody's here. The strange thing is, we found children's toys scattered around the property. Old toys, like they've been buried and dug up. But according to county records, Juliana Martinez died in a car accident 2 weeks ago." "That's impossible. I just spoke to her." "There's more. We talked to the neighbors. All 3 miles away, remember? They say for the past 2 weeks, every night around 3 a.m., they hear a little girl crying in the woods, always moving in circles, always getting closer to the Martinez property." I checked the call logs. The number traced to Juliana Martinez's cell phone. The call lasted 22 minutes, but Juliana Martinez had been dead for 2 weeks. The crying still happens, according to the neighbors. Every night at 3:15 a.m., they hear a little girl sobbing in the woods, around 1423 Pine Ridge Road. Sometimes they see lights in the empty house, and sometimes they get calls from Juliana's number, but they never answer. Last week, a new family moved into a house 2 miles down Pine Ridge Road. They called 911 on their third night there. They reported hearing a child crying outside their house.